Hey, this is Chris Jericho. Check out my new podcast, Talk is Jericho, with my first guest, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hell yeah! Is there a bigger, better guest? I don't think so, and that's the bottom line. Download the first episode of Talk is Jericho at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com.
Remember when you had to listen to radio programs on their schedule? Well, with this podcast, life is better because you get to listen on your schedule. But what about backing up your computer files at home or at work? What's your schedule look like there? You don't need to schedule that either, as long as you have Carbonite. Carbonite backs up your files to the cloud for you automatically whenever you're connected to the internet. You can try it for yourself free right now at Carbonite.com. There's no credit card required. Plus, if you use offer code WOMEN, you get 2 bonus months with your purchase. That's Carbonite.com, offer code WOMEN.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
PodcastOne.com presents the Ask Women Podcast. A place where 2 female comics and a professional wing girl get together to dissect the female mind.
You don't know how I feel.
And explain it to men in terms they can actually understand. Boobs. Now, here's the lovely ladies of Ask Women.
Hey, all you turkeys out there. Welcome to the Ask Women Podcast. I don't ever want to say that in my life again. I am one of your co-hosts, Kristen Carney, here with Marni Kinrys, of course.
Yes.
Best-selling author. Let's just massage it a little bit more.
No, say it again. Say it again.
And relationship expert. And, of course, our douchey douche, our dingleberry of the show, Mo.
Hey, what's up? Did you say relationship expert Mo?
Is that what you said? No. I thought you said douchey douche. Douche.
Damn.
That's pretty much what she said
All
about
I heard was relationship expert. I'm like,
yeah, you wish.
I said, and
you wish.
It was like...
It was Dingleberry for the record.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It was
Dingleberry.
Dingleberry.
That
Thank you.
feels nothing like relationship expert.
Thank you, Art, for clarifying.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how it happens now. It's like one person gives their opinion to a mass audience, and suddenly they're an expert. Anybody can be an expert now.
does that mean
like me?
I'm suddenly a douchebag?
Oh, it for sure means you're suddenly a douchebag. I mean, one douchey comment, you are a douchebag.
I am now an
100%.
expert on douchebags from spending this much time with you.
Yes.
Well, listen.
The thing is, though, like, Mo really isn't that much of a douche. He's like a very nice guy. It's just you have so many potential moments to be a giant douche, and you always take advantage of it.
It's not potential moments. Like, he goes for it.
Yeah, he goes for it.
Yeah. I feel like you ladies tee me off to be a douche, and I just like see it and I want it.
Do we do this, really? Are we putting you in this position?
You gave off the vibe. We ran with it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, speaking of douche, you can follow Mo on Twitter at Mo Darwich, but also follow us and ask us questions on Twitter. That's the quickest way to get them answered at Ask Women Podcast. So follow us and ask us questions there. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
And we have a really cool guest coming up in the second half of the show. We have Alison Rosen from the Carolla Digital Network.
I think this is your female crush, right? You really like her.
Well, she listens to it now. I should say yes,
Right.
but I'm not really. I don't really get female crushes. It's weird.
Would
Really? I
you? Would
do.
you have an epic scissor fight?
Like,
with
I
her?
hate all women in general.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. But I feel like I have to hold on to that because it gives me meaning or like a personality.
So you didn't answer my question. Are you two going to have an epic scissor fight?
No.
No?
Maybe with actual scissors.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It depends on how
Like a
our
duel?
opinions.
Damn it.
I'm pretty sure we'd have a lot in common, so I don't think we'll have any sort of scissor actual action.
You know what we should
Like
have
real scissors.
in studio? A scissor swing. And then
What's
just like
that?
it's like where two girls get on the
I've
swing,
seen that.
and it's like
They just bump into each other? That sounds
scissor
awful.
into each other into one
Is
big.
this like a sexual thing? Yeah. Does it really exist? That sounds painful.
It's kind of like
sounds horrible.
lesbians meet American gladiators.
It sounds horrible. I would
Awesome.
not want that.
Aren't all American Gladiator women lesbians? Like I would
Yes,
assume.
they're lesbians and they're deaf.
What?
What?
They're deaf.
You don't remember that one siren who's the deaf American gladiator?
No.
Like, I do it for my team.
God,
It's like too bad you don't have a team. No one wants
That
to
is
be on
horrible.
it with you.
Okay, so I have two things to tell you guys. Both very sad and disturbing news. The first one is Jim Ashley, who is one of our biggest supporters,
Yeah?
did not like last week's episode.
Really?
Yeah, or
Well,
not last week, actually. No, it was
it's gonna be-
further.
yeah.
Yeah, because we're further in advance.
Months ago show.
Yeah, exactly. The fetish and fantasies. He was not a fan of it. Not a topic for him. It was his
Well-
first negative comment.
I'm not really a fan of the fetish. My fetish is having no fetishes. Like if the whole world have no fetish, I'd be like, that's pretty hot.
You're like, I'm into that.
Yeah.
That was the Mike and Holly episode, right?
Yeah. But he said Mike's voice was fantastic and he could have listened to him talk forever,
Mike's
which
great.
I agree with.
Maybe
as well.
that's a fetish and he's just embarrassed of it. And
Oh,
so
exactly.
he's
That's why he
projecting out.
doesn't like it. Okay, so the other disappointing thing is that I had an intruder walk into my house yesterday.
I can't even believe this.
Into my home.
You could have turned this into a fantasy or a fetish.
Yes, I guess I could have, because he was actually
Like,
quite
of
cute. I'm
rape
not going to lie.
Was he really?
He was very cute. Okay, so this
What
is
did he say?
I'll tell you the full story. So I am in my bed doing a coaching call, as I do. That's where I
this
do my
sounds
work
like a
from
porno.
sometimes.
Keep going.
Anyways, and so I hear like a voice from outside. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's somebody who's dropping something off. Like, okay, they'll just drop it off and get the point. So I finished my coaching call and I heard keys. And I was like, okay, well, maybe the dishwasher guy's coming to fix the dishwasher. Maybe he has, I don't even know. But I walked to the front of my house and I saw that my door was open. And I was like, what the hell? And so I walked outside and I literally turned to my left, still standing at my door, and saw a guy with my car door open and my keys in his hand. And I said, what the fuck are you doing? And he turned around and said, I'm trying to get home. And I was like, what? I'm like, you better get home on foot because you're not taking my car.
Jack your car?
Yeah, but he was not with it. He was like really slow and like not
he was
with
on
it.
drugs.
And he left on my porch a bag, a brown bag of empty candy wrappers, like empty Halloween candy wrappers.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was leaving me a gift too, but he didn't leave me any chocolate. It was
So he's
really
just a nut
selfish.
job. That's messed up.
So then the police officers called me an idiot later, basically saying you should have just run into your house. But I don't even know my license plate number, so I wouldn't have been able to catch him if he took my car.
Wow.
So now I know my license plate number. I've taken a picture of it. But he just said, okay. And he gave me the keys and I said, get the fuck off my property. I'm calling the police right now. He walked away. I called the police right afterwards.
Like
gave
he
a full
slowly walked
description,
away?
Just slowly strolled off.
Damn,
like
you're
nothing
tough.
happened.
You're
I
tough.
wasn't even scared. It was really weird. He didn't feel scary to me.
Yeah.
And he looked good. He was wearing like a bomber jacket, like a North
Looks like a
Face
good-looking
jacket.
guy.
Yeah. 6 foot black dude, like good skin, good hair. Like he was like an Abercrombie model. He was very good looking. And so then I called the police.
You know what it was? He
What?
smelled too much of that cologne that they have in Abercrombie, and he just like
Yeah,
went off his
he's
rocker.
like, all dizzy and stuff.
Yeah.
He was
Was
totally.
he like, I am here to clean your pipes?
No, he said,
not-
I want to get home.
That's not how black dudes talk.
Oh.
Although
Yeah,
that would be
exactly.
amazing if
That would be
Unless
amazing.
it
that would
came
be
out,
the scariest
then I would
shit
be scared.
in the entire world.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, now I'm getting my
Yo,
head.
man.
You should have just offered him a ride.
Yeah.
I should have. I'm like, where are you going?
Where you
Where
going?
do you want to go?
Give me the
I will
keys.
take you.
Clearly, you need a designated driver. Let's go.
Obviously, exactly. It was my good deed for like the holiday season or something. But
He's like, I'm from Missouri. You're like, yeah, forget it.
you're like, yeah, that's not where I'm going to. But then I called the police and they said, okay, somebody will be at your house in 10 minutes. I'm like, at my house? Go get him. He's down the street. So then they came to my house and apparently they had caught him because he's not a fast walker. He literally was at the end of the block. And so they had him and I had to go identify him. So
Ooh,
they
that's
got
weird.
It's kind of cool.
You had to
Wow.
you had to almost turn on him. It was almost like you guys had a bond.
yeah,
and then
he
you
gave
had to
me
break
chocolates,
it.
and
right,
then we broke up.
right.
And then I had to say, like, you are going to jail. Like, you are going into jail because I'm telling you you have to go to jail.
Right. That's
so
crazy.
then they drove me up, and I didn't have to get out of the car, and they literally just, like, positioned him in the middle of the street and said, is that him? And I said, yes, that's absolutely him. And they took him to the police station. They came back to my house. All 14 of them, 14, I swear to God, police officers came to my house, plus a detective. All of them asked me the same questions. They all took the same notes. It was really
That's
weird. Like they
weird.
were teaching a class
Like a
at
training
the same time.
session,
That's
Yeah,
weird.
it was very like I liked how responsive they were. But actually, I'm having a stalker issue right now too. So I asked them if they would do
Is it Jim
like
Ashley?
a 2-for-1.
Is it Jim Ashley?
No, it's not Jim Ashley. I love Jim Ashley. Don't make fun. But they wouldn't let me file another report with them, so I had to go.
What? There's 14 of you.
I know. I'm like, seriously, how can I not file another report?
Right.
I was like, come on, it's like
We're a
the
little
holiday
busy at the
time.
moment.
I'm sorry, we don't have the manpower.
Like maybe
for
if
this.
8 of you stayed back at the office, like you could actually answer your phone and then be able to file a report for me. But yeah, so that is my story, and I realize how lucky I am because I could have walked out when he was in my home, and then he would have been in my house, and I don't know what he would have done.
Yeah, well,
he
you
could have
guys
been
would've-
super aggressive.
He probably
guys
would have
would've
gone to
banged.
sleep.
He probably. Maybe he was. I was on my coaching call for a while. He was probably like watching TV for a bit.
But I think you guys would have banged if he was in the house.
Maybe.
Because then I would have been like,
I mean, he's
"What's up?"
hot. He was a hot guy.
He
Not really
was hot.
there.
Not there.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
wouldn't
all
talk
women
that
want.
much.
Like a hot guy who's you just plow away and who's not really there in the moment.
Exactly. That's what all women want. That's what this show is all
You are
about.
so insightful.
And there's your douchey moment. But yeah, so I'm
more you
really
know.
lucky. But one thing I did realize after this is I've had a couple of negative things happen. As you've heard, computer crashing, computer with vinegar,
Yeah.
and now this. I think that I'm putting some bad voodoo
there's
out
karma
into the world.
happening for you.
Yeah, so I agree that I have been a little bit negative over the past month because I've got things going on and I've been negative. And so it was a big wake-up call for me to be positive because I have a girlfriend who everything shitty happens to. Like, she gets into a car accident like once a month.
Right.
Like, always something bad happens. And like, she just has a negative attitude. And I don't want to be like her because I feel like if you think negative things happen to you. So I am making it a goal for myself to be more positive.
Yeah,
now.
you just got to take
That's
every
how
bad
I came in touch with
situation.
Mo. I was just thinking so negatively. All of a sudden, Mo came to this podcast.
Yeah, she was thinking so negatively, and we had a lot of fire. And then one day during the show, she's like, I'll just give Mo a HJ under the table. And now we've been best friends ever since.
What is happening? Is this creepy day? What's going on?
I just feel like there's a lot of sexual tension between me
Is
and
there?
Kristen.
I feel none. I feel none whatsoever.
There's nothing. There's
I'm
literally.
starting to have dreams about Kristen.
Like, I'm pretty
Are you?
sure I'm dead.
Sexual dreams.
I had a
Ew.
weird dream last
did.
night,
For
actually,
real?
But
about
they're
the
awkward.
podcast. Not about you having sex, but about us. Where were we? Jay Larson was on the show again, and he said something negative before we went in to go do the show, and then I got really pissed off, and we had like a big crew with us who was like watching us do our show and just sort of giving notes the entire time, and nobody was starting on time, and I just got really angry and pissed off, and then I left. It was really weird.
Was it a vision of the future, maybe?
Maybe. I have no
Well, I
idea.
hope Jay Larson comes back.
I know Jay Larson will come back because he's actually on a show on Esquire that people should check out. It's him going to tons of bars all around the United States and just like sampling drinks.
Oh,
It's
must be
amazing.
nice.
I auditioned for a show on Esquire.
Oh, you did?
That's kind of in the same bracket or something. I don't even know.
They're
what that
doing a lot of
means.
lifestyle stuff.
Yeah, as his show because
Yeah.
it was listed his show and then the show I auditioned for and then another one, and it's like that most beautiful people countdown or some kind of
Ooh.
shit like that. I had to audition in my bathing suit.
How did that look?
Horrible. I got spray tanned
What?
before.
You did?
It's the
Oh,
only
yeah.
way I would have been able to get into that room was if I got spray tanned.
I get
And the
so
woman-
shocked that you do these things. I just can picture you like so uncomfortable.
Oh my God, I
Like,
was
is this
so-
good? Is this okay?
No, I was. That's exactly
Oh
how
my
I was.
God.
I'm like, is it okay if like
I put my shirt
you
back
know,
on.
I'm gonna put my hair forward and
Yeah, cover my nipples.
yeah,
That's
it's-
weird.
yeah. But so basically,
Why do you have to?
I turned
be a
into
host?
Larry David as I auditioned in my bathing suit.
Are you a host?
It was for hosting, but they basically wanted to see your body. I just think it's just like
It's a cheap way
it's
to
a
get
cheap way,
hard
whatever.
on.
And of course, I knew I wouldn't get it. I'm not some like beach beauty who's like, let's count
you
down the
are.
most beautiful people. And I did like a really weird read, like I made up my own joke and like it fell flat and whatever. And I knew that was going nowhere. But the one thing I will mention really quickly was when I got spray tanned, something I didn't know. Men will tip the woman doing the spray tan if they can like have their junk out and like get sprayed. What? Yeah, she told me about that, and I was like,
Wait.
so then I'm really like
Their
an
penis
easy
spray
spray
too.
right
I feel
now.
like that's bad.
That's bad.
I don't know if it sprays right on it, but basically they'll take all their clothes off and their junk's hanging out.
Let me.
Really, men are
Do you
weird.
taste that
And
stuff?
she's gotta get
when
close.
you're hooking up with somebody.
Probably if it's like that day, fresh.
Yeah.
The girl comes from just all orange.
An orange stain on her face. That's horrible. That is horrible. Okay, going back to 100 most beautiful people. I'm trying to find a segue for this. But I was, after my horrible situation yesterday, I crawled back into bed, spent the rest of the afternoon in my bedroom with my door to my bedroom and to my office locked. Like everything in my home was locked. Because my door was unlocked. That was the thing. My door was unlocked. It wasn't wide
That's
open.
stupid.
It's very stupid. Well, I realize that now, but I've been doing it for the past however many years, and nothing ever happened until Joe Schmo comes walking through my door, steals my keys, and about to take my car away. But so I was in bed and I was done my work and I had my Us Weekly with me, and I stumbled upon this one page that said dating deal breakers. So these are celebrities saying they're deal breakers, and celebrities are a very similar to normal people. So usually what they have
They
to say
are?
applies to us as well.
No, they're from another
absolutely.
planet. They're another species. They're a better species.
You mean I could be a celebrity?
No.
Could be a celebrity. You are a celebrity.
Damn.
Okay, so Minka Kelly says if you don't like animals, that's a deal breaker for her.
Ugh.
I hate
I
it.
know a lot of chicks
Who
like
doesn't
that,
like
though.
not like animals?
Some
Like, you
people
have to
don't
be
like
a
animals.
Sickie if you're like, I don't like animals.
You
I
know-
guess that's true. I've never said I don't like animals. I don't like smelly dogs coming up and jumping on me. But clean dogs, I'm totally fine with.
Right.
You know what I can't stand, and it's a big turn off for dudes,
Yourself.
is, well, other than that, the chicks that, like, when they see a dog, they're like, "Oh my god, the baby! Oh my god, come here! Oh, she's a good doggy."
I hate that too. It makes me nauseous.
If you're a woman and you do that, stop. Okay?
I hate that also.
Is that your deal breaker?
And it's happening to me.
That's a deal breaker for me, big time.
Yeah, baby talk is a deal breaker.
Baby talk's okay here and there when it's cute.
Yeah, it's just idiot girls do it.
But idiot girls do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Katy Perry. Perry said, lack of ambition. I can't deal when someone dilly-dallies through life. You've got to have drive. That's my deal breaker as well, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, Emma Roberts, who's so pretty. I saw her making out with a guy at a hotel a very long time ago, but she's very pretty. If people aren't nice or try to act like a-holes to be cool, that's a good deal breaker.
Maybe she was making out with a guy who
was an a-hole.
Let me ask you something. Didn't Emma Roberts just beat up her boyfriend?
Did she beat him up or did he beat her up?
No, she beat him up. And
she's an a-hole.
So she's, yeah, exactly.
So she hates herself.
There's one thing I can't stand. It's a woman that hits a guy when she's drunk.
That's a deal breaker, too.
There's a lot of drunk women out there that feel like they could hit dudes when they're drunk.
I don't like that either.
And they smack them in the face and they hit them. They go, "What? You're tough." And I'm like, "Yo, homegirl, I'll show you what's tough.
Yeah.
And I'll put one hand on you and you'll know what's up."
I agree.
I don't like that either. I think that's inappropriate. Harry Styles, nobody likes tardy people. And I always say, if a girl spits, that's gross.
The way that is that a woman or a man? Harry Roberts.
That's Harry Styles. He's from
Harry
from
Styles.
In Direction, New Direction.
It's like a horrible name.
One Direction.
I'm Harry. From
He's
One
Harry.
Direction.
Nobody likes tardy people. And I always say, if a girl spits, that's gross.
If you say spits, then that's my deal
that's the
breaker.
deal breaker.
If you just say if a girl who spits is gross, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, not
spits?
like spits.
Because I was
exactly.
wait, she likes spit like your own? I don't know.
I feel like men are always on time for the most part.
What? Are you freaking kidding me?
And women are always tardy.
I kind of agree.
Nope.
Always.
That is not true. That is
And
not
women-
Marni
I am
is
always on time. I am always 10 minutes early.
Except today.
Except today, I fucked up.
And I was actually on
Do you
time
want to know
today.
why I was late? Because I bought toothbrush attachments for my new toothbrush.
Oh, God, you're obsessed with toothbrushes.
I love this thing.
Yeah.
My dentist told me my teeth are exquisite after I started using this thing. The time before, I had plaque all over my teeth. So she said, it's exquisite. So now I'm obsessed with this Sonicare toothbrush that I use. So I got new things. And then I had a coaching call while in Bed Bath & Beyond. So I had to stay on the phone with him. Couldn't get into my car because in the parking lot, I had no reception. So it screwed me. So then I was a little bit late.
But that's a big turnoff, I think, for men.
I get it. I turned you off today.
But I do agree that men are on time a little bit more frequently than women because guys, there's not the getting ready process involved.
That's
They're like
true.
they
All
get
I
out of
know-
the shower, they're done, they're sitting there waiting for the girl to be ready and then they
I
leave.
guess so. My husband's always late.
I literally have to lie to my girlfriend. If we got to be somewhere at 7 o'clock, I tell her, oh, it starts at 6. And then I have to push her, and then we'll be there at 7:30.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a deal breaker for me, even though I'm married to somebody
Yeah.
who does that. But I'll say, I've seen him do it in the car. He'll call his friend and say, I'm around the corner, I'm 5 minutes away, and we're literally 15 minutes away.
That's a dude thing that we do.
I don't like
We
that.
lie.
For me, I'm late most of the time because I'm really antisocial. And
Yeah.
I would just rather have more time by myself than being out around people. Because that's
Really?
that's like punishment. If I get anywhere early, I am in the most discomfort ever, and Art agrees right now. He's shaking his head.
He's like, I'd rather be alone.
Harry
Yeah.
said
Absolutely,
two
I'm the
things.
same way.
Yeah.
Well, so in dating, what are your deal breakers? What are your absolute deal breakers? Because I think that you're allowed to have deal breakers. Absolutely. And if somebody does one of these things, I wouldn't say that it's I don't know, spitting isn't really a horrible deal breaker. It could be an indicator of who they are later on
When
down
a
the
woman
road.
spits,
Someone who's mean to old people.
Oh, that's a huge indicator of who they are. If they're mean to old people, it means they're mean to other people and they're going to be mean to you eventually.
Right.
Yeah. So
Now, I watch porn here and there. I just think spitting is stupid, but I watch some porn here and there. And when girls spit on a man's member,
yeah,
I find that really unattractive.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's all of a sudden she becomes Butch. Yeah.
She becomes like this bush, and I'm like, what? And they always have a weird look in their eyes.
Well, because it's a little violent. It gets a little bit
aggressive.
whoa, okay.
Yeah.
She was just being this woman, and all of a sudden she became
just
your
spits on it.
truck driver.
Tiki sister. Yeah.
Tiki
Just
sister,
like,
exactly.
Wow.
Wait, so what's your deal breaker?
being late a lot of the time.
That's a deal breaker? Like, you would break up with a girl?
No, because I put up with that crap with my girl. Kid Rock said it best. Like, when he was dating Pam Anderson, they're like, oh, how long did it take her to get ready? He's like, about 5 beers.
Really?
Yeah, and that's literally about, I'm about 3 beers, 4 beers probably with my girl.
That's really late. Well, you're going to develop a drinking problem.
But you know what's a deal breaker is someone who's non-affectionate.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
we would never work out.
Some women are cold to the touch and just don't like to touch. And I'm a big touchy.
That's actually a deal breaker for me, is too much touchy.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I get
for a lot of people
claustrophobic. I feel gross. I'm like, I might be sweaty, or you're sweaty, or like someone doesn't smell right or something. And I'm just like, oh, like we're being next to each other is good. This is sufficient. But having to hang all over each other, for some reason, my entire life, dating people, if they wanted to cuddle, there was nowhere I wanted to be less than their cuddling in that moment, no matter how much I liked them. It made me feel like I was a loser not doing anything with my life. Or like,
really?
What about after sex? Don't you like a little cuddle?
With my cat.
Oh my God.
So interesting.
That's another thing I hate, right?
See what their life is like.
I hate women.
It's a horrible existence.
I hate women that give better affection to a cat than they do to the dude.
Well, actually, I said to my boyfriend the other day, because he always is trying to manhandle me. And I was like, now I know how our cat feels, because that's all I do to my cat all day.
You like grab it and trying to run away from
I'm like, oh, come here. And he's like, come here. I'm like, oh, get away from me. Hiss, scratch.
Do you guys bang with the cat on the bed?
No, we always make sure that the door, like, we like take him into the other room.
You do? You actively
I'm like, here, Muncie, I'm going to turn the TV on for him, get him like a drink.
No way. Yeah. That is hilarious. You're like prepping.
Not the drink part, but I literally like
set the volume up so he can't hear.
Yeah.
Like you put like cat headphones on so he doesn't hear anything. But no, there are like there's some sick people, like my girl, right? It's really sick. Like, we start banging, we got a cat, and she's like, no, leave him on the bed.
Ew.
I'm like, what the? And she's like, no, seriously, leave him on the bed. It's okay. He doesn't know. He's
you're
cat.
deflowering this like innocent creature that like.
I'm like, yo, this
weird.
cat knows about banging, okay? These animals know about banging because I watch them do it. You watch a little dog get into it, and he'll start banging.
Yeah, they know
too.
what it is.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
So when I'm doing it in front of an animal, it kind of becomes like a
threesome. It's weird. Voyeuristic.
It's
Mike and Holly.
Dude, my cat is such a voyeur.
I mentioned this on an episode a while ago, but there was a video on like some weird website that my boyfriend showed me of home porn when like the animal enters and like what happens, and most of them
enters cat.
Yeah, and most of them were pretty funny because the people were like trying to push it out with their foot or something.
What?
But one guy, I mentioned this on a podcast a while ago, one guy like grabbed the dog and was like holding on to it. Like strangling it.
That is insane.
You want to be part of this?
Wrong.
Yeah.
Pull your red pistol out. Let's go.
Oh my God. Your lipstick. It's so gross.
Anyway, that's a deal breaker. You saw someone.
A deal breaker for me is when a guy is too braggy. Is way too braggy. A fast talker and braggy, and it's like he's trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
I have a lot of guys that I interact with who are like that. That's a deal breaker for me in business now, and also
and I think for most women in general when they're being approached that way.
Yeah,
it's an instant deal breaker.
Yeah. So
another huge deal breaker, and it's becoming a huge problem now with our society, is cell phones. Like people, like you'll be at dinner on a date and they'll be on their cell phone texting, or you'll be at a bar with somebody and they'll be on their cell phone texting. I'm like, I'm right here.
That's the best way to increase my inferiority complex. Is like if we're hanging out and you're on your phone, I'm like, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not cool enough, whatever.
Yeah, I get that people do it sometimes because it's like their safety blanket.
Yeah.
But I did a survey on my social media recently of men, of like finding out the things that are huge turnoffs on first dates, and that was their number one thing was women using cell phones on their dates. And it's true for women as well. If you're on a date, you're there and be present. If you're not, if you want to like end that date, then start using your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. So how do we turn this into a chapter for the man's playbook?
I think we just the do's and don'ts.
Yeah. Okay. So do's and don'ts of deal breaker.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the do's and don'ts of deal breakers is don't have too big of an extreme deal breaker, like what you said before about being tardy. Like that can't be a deal breaker. I find that once you get older, you have a lot more deal breakers in place, usually based on your past relationships. I did this show called The Social when I was in Canada, and there was this one woman, I think I've talked about this before, this one woman that was on the show, because there was 3 women that I had to analyze and like help them with their dating lives, and she was telling this story about this guy who came up to her and approached her, and he was like really nice and really cute, and then he said to her, "Oh, you drink Evian? I drink Evian as well." And she's like, "No, deal breaker, like it's
I
over."
kind of agree with her
like,
on that.
but the thing is that I said to her, she was in her 40s as well. I'm like, if that's what your deal breakers are, like you're screwing yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're cutting guys off who, I work with so many guys, so I know how challenging it is to approach and be like Casanova in the first 2 minutes. What he was saying to her is, I've approached you, you're cute, I'm trying to find a connection. So help a brother out and skip past that first little deal breaker and have a 3-strike rule instead of a 1-strike rule.
I think deal breakers should be core things, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Core values or core physical things, like we talked about, like cuddling, right?
Yeah.
Or
some people just don't like to be cuddled, and I don't think you could ever teach them to cuddle. So,
What about drugs and alcohol?
That is a huge deal breaker for sure. For sure. For me, it is.
Yeah, if someone doesn't do them, it's a deal breaker.
Yes, absolutely.
Bingo.
No, if someone does them, drugs is a total deal breaker for me. If you do like coke or
Is
something.
weed drugs?
No.
Weed, well, I'm not into
It's medicine.
weed. I understand if
Depends on
someone
the
did it
women.
occasionally, but if that was your lifestyle where it was like a day in, day out thing,
Right.
total deal breaker.
Oh, yeah, I forgot Emily Van Camp's. Hers was a guy who sits around and plays video games and smokes pot.
Yeah. There's
If that's
nothing
your whole
grosser.
existence.
Like, that's to me like cuddling. It's like I just feel like a loser and I want to escape.
Yeah, like they're not going anywhere.
hold on.
If you smoke pot every once in a while recreationally,
Yeah.
it's fine. But if you're a pothead, for me, that's a deal breaker.
Listen, any man who smokes pot and plays Call of Duty knows how epically awesome it is. Okay, so Emily Van Hoster, whatever
Van
her
Camp.
name is, I don't even know who she is.
From
so-
Revenge, very good show that I've been
my
watching
God.
recently.
Oh, Revenge is so cool. No.
Yeah.
Okay, Emily.
Yeah, it is, actually.
But I'm just, look, if we
Top show on ABC.
Here's the thing: if a man could smoke weed and play video games on his free time,
That's different.
that's okay. But if all he does is smoke weed and play video games and he has no other life,
That's not okay.
Yes,
unless
exactly.
he's getting paid by THQ or one of these big video game companies, it's not all right.
Yeah, if they
And I
need
agree.
it and rely on it. Because,
Yeah.
we've done Loveline before, and, like, there's a lot of people who call in, and their problems are that their significant other is an addict, or
Yeah.
they suffer from major depression, and
Yeah.
that's really difficult to deal with. You have to decide. So I actually have this exercise in my program, actually The Insider, and then also How to Become a Man Women Want. And it's called Discovering Your Values. I've talked about it before, but it's an exercise that I did a very long time ago because I didn't know what my values were. I was like, oh, of course I know my values. And me and my husband have the same values. But I wasn't really clear on what my core values were, what was really like the top priority for me. And so this exercise, it just asks you a series of questions. And then like literally from those questions, you can start to pick out from the words you've used what your values are and start putting them in order. And I did this exercise with my coach that I had a few years ago. I had over 100 values and I had to narrow it down to my top ones. And it's really interesting to see what your top values are. And that's where I think you have to decide on your deal breakers. And if there's something that's happened to you consistently in the past that you haven't liked, you haven't wanted to deal with, yes, that can definitely be a deal breaker. But I think like what I was saying before is don't have a deal breaker be, oh, he says cheesy lines or just like little things. Like that's just a barrier to entry and you're just protecting yourself in some way and not really giving a person a chance.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that concludes this chapter in the man's playbook.
Oh.
Cool. Well, we're really excited to have Alison Rosen
Yes.
coming in a few minutes, and she has her own podcast called Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend.
I wonder
I feel
what
like if
her
I ever
deal
went on her
breakers
show,
are.
it would be
Me too.
is your new worst enemy. But no, I've always wanted to say
That would be our show together.
Well, we can talk to her about it because she is engaged, and I know that she's working on that stuff. So I don't know.
working on
I'm sure
getting
she
married.
said- yeah. So I'm sure she's
Interesting.
gone through some deal breakers with other people.
Cool. So we have her coming up next.
This is an important announcement for anyone with a student loan who is having trouble making their monthly payments.
If that's you, pay attention, because there's a special toll-free hotline that has been set up especially for you. So grab a pen and take this number down, or put it in your cell phone. 1-800-652-3707. That's 1-800-652-3707. When you call the National Student Loan Relief Hotline, you will get free information. That's free information to help you relieve the overwhelming financial burden of an ongoing, endless student loan. If you are behind, late on payments, or even in default of your student loan, the National Student Loan Relief Hotline can help you. You may also be able to cut your payments in half right away. The National Student Loan Relief Hotline can also stop the harassing phone calls, wage garnishments, and even remove tax liens. The National Student Loan Relief partner companies have helped thousands of people just like you fix their student loan problem. Call 1-800-652-3707 for free information today. That's 1-800-652-3707.
Hey, guess who's coming to the Steve Austin Show? WWE superstar Daniel Bryan, who's currently involved, who's currently on television, who's currently helping carry the promotion. Go to SteveAustinShow.com. What could be easier than that?
You're listening to the Ask Women podcast, a Podcast One presentation.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Ask Women podcast. Before we get started, I just want to say go to our page to buy things on Amazon and support the show and keep the show free. You can find our own personal store, right?
Yeah, you go winggirlmethod.com/Amazon. And actually, we're going to start having some gifts up there for the holidays, like gift ideas and gift suggestions, so you don't have to think. Yeah. And we can do the thinking for you, so it's perfect. So go to winggirlmethod.com/Amazon, and if you want to buy like your toothbrushes and toilet paper and anything else and books,
shop
like my book,
shop Pantless,
or video games.
That should be their logo.
I know, and I would take credit for it because I say that.
You should
all the time.
You should pitch to them.
Shop for pants, Pantless.
Exactly. That's exactly what you should do.
Yeah, cool.
I love it.
Well, we have Alison Rosen here with us. Hey, Alison.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Alison has a very funny podcast called Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend on Carolla Digital. And Alison is engaged.
I am.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also appear every day on Adam Carolla Show.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. And co-host.
I love how you said it so sadly, like she's engaged.
Well,
I like to think it's sad for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, there's
exactly.
a lot of men missing out.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
You actually made me feel really uncomfortable because you came in and your ring is gorgeous. And
let me see. I didn't even see.
And blinding.
Oh, it is very shiny.
Thank
oh, my
you.
God. It's really
and I'm
big,
thinking
too.
if I got to buy a ring for my girl, I can't compete with that.
You
don't
can't
have to
compete
I'll
with
just
like,
stay away
other
from
men.
your girl.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, just stay away from
exactly. So how is being engaged?
It's nice.
Yeah.
I think that I expected that the day after we got engaged, I would feel some kind of magical, oh my God, it's all starting and da-da-da. And I really didn't. And it just kind of felt like the day before. But I mean, happy. I mean, I was happy, obviously, and it was very sweet. But it took a while, I think, for it to kind of... For us to settle into it. I think
for
that
sure.
At the very beginning, we were like, okay, now we are supposed to do all those things that engaged people do.
Like, what do engaged people do?
I guess plan the wedding.
Oh, okay.
Frolic.
Yeah.
Skip around really happy.
Exactly. There's music swelling behind us always. I mean, appreciate sunsets.
Of course.
Probably.
Yeah.
Of course.
Lays around all day. But I think we really weren't quite ready to start planning the wedding yet. Because I don't know, I'm just kind of it takes me a while to adjust to everything. Yeah. And it was sort of a new identity. And now I'm an engaged person. And I mean, I still haven't changed my Facebook status.
I don't know. That's the only thing I've changed since being married. I haven't changed my name legally. I said Facebook is way more important than the United States government. So I'm going to change it on Facebook, but not.
Are you going to change it?
No. I don't want to.
Wait, you didn't change your name?
No. It took me a long time to be really comfortable with Marni Kinrys. So I'm not throwing her out yet for some other name.
Can I ask you girls something real quick? Because you girls both have rings on, and they look very nice.
I have a pinky ring gangster
in design.
ring.
You got a pinky ring.
Thank you.
But did you women help your husband pick out your ring before they bought it for you?
I picked it.
You did?
Yeah.
What is that? Like,
what do you
feel
mean?
like that kind of takes the surprise out of everything,
It's not
right?
to be surprised.
Yeah, but you have to have because surprise is so just in the moment. You have to be satisfied for years to come. So it's smarter to pick out your ring than to get thrown one that's
I
like,
feel like it defeats the whole purpose of the
It's
whole
not a movie. I think
so
we
you
forget.
picked it out. You picked out your ring how far in advance?
after we were engaged.
Oh,
He
okay.
proposed with a different ring. It was just a silver band because I'm trying to think how I knew. I just knew that proposal was going to be happening at some point, and I also knew that I wanted to be involved in choosing the ring. Just because I'm picky and because he and I hadn't had a lot of conversations about jewelry. Like I didn't feel like I hear certain stories where the women say like, oh, he knows exactly what I like. And I didn't feel like I had ever indicated, and I didn't even know yet what I wanted either.
Right.
I just knew that I just would like to be involved. And plus, my mom and my dad shopped for their ring together. So that was just kind of the model of, in my head, like what you do.
I like that. I think that's nice.
But then I don't know that that's the norm, come to think of it, because there's so many people I know where their stories like, oh yeah, well, I just, I circled something in a magazine and I left it where he would see it, and then he chose the perfect ring. I'm like, that worked out so well for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Rolling the dice there. So anyway, I, in this like very awkward way, said something to him about like, I don't know if you're thinking about blah, 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 but I just want to say that I sort of would like to be involved in the process, which I think made him feel pressured. Like if I could have done it over again, I wouldn't have done it that way, because then he was like, okay, this was before Christmas. And he's like, I wasn't planning on proposing before Christmas. I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's cool. No problem.
Yeah,
exactly. Because I wondered, have I caught it too late? Yeah, it was. I actually don't know the right way to throw that out there.
I don't know either. Well, okay, actually, I want to talk a little bit about that, about like not knowing when the engagement's coming, but you know that there is possibly one in the future. How long of a period of time was that for you? Where you're like, hey, we should be engaged now.
I didn't have the feeling of we should be engaged now. I think I knew that I wanted to marry him. Okay. And he knew that he wanted to marry me, and we were already living together, and we had both had that conversation about like we want to be together for the rest of our lives. We want to have kids together. So nice. It was, I mean, and so in that way, it was like we know that these are the things that are going to be happening. I wasn't like looking at my watch like, where is this engagement or anything like that.
But every time that you went for a nice dinner, were you like, this is happening? Because I had that happen once. We went up to Ojai, and like my husband was being really weird and frantic, and I was like, oh my God, it's happening. And this is like 5 years in. Plus, a secret, we were already married because I'm Canadian, so I needed a green card. So a year before, we had already gotten married, but didn't tell anybody. So like, come on, after already being married, it's not scary to do. But I was like, okay, this is happening. It's totally happening. So the whole night I was like the best version of Marni that I could possibly be. And then I got really drunk.
Is that an authentic version or a fake version?
A totally fake version.
Okay.
It's like the perfect girlfriend. And then we were at dinner, and I was so drunk by this point because we've been drinking all day, just like having fun. And I said to him, oh, well, I thought you were going to propose today. And he just reacted so horribly. He's like, why would you think that? And I just started crying at the table, and it was so horrible. Anyway, so every time I would do
why
something.
Would I think that? Because we're already married.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, there's no need to propose to you. I'm like, oh, God. But anyway, I would always think that anytime we would do something special, like it was coming. And then I was totally surprised when he actually did it. So did you have those moments?
No, I'm trying to think if I had any moments where I was like, I was really expecting this. And then, I mean, honestly, when he said, okay, I wasn't going to be proposing, before next year, I did feel a little bit disappointed. Even though it's not like he said, I'm not going to be proposing. I just felt, it was just an awkward exchange. I felt like I wish I hadn't thrown it out there, but I was trying to make sure it wasn't already too late, and And then when he said that, I felt a tiny bit rejected, even though it wasn't a real rejection. So anyway, but then I kind of, it was a small thing. So anyway, then he told me sometime in February, he's like, are you doing anything on this Friday? And I said, no. He's like, keep it open, like for a romantic dinner or something, which I should have realized was too obvious. Yeah. But then I was like, oh, I guess that's when it's going to be happening. Okay. and then the weekend before, we were driving down to Orange County to visit my parents, and we were close to their house. And then I got this text from my mom asking if I could run an errand kind of nearby. And it didn't make sense to me why she needed me to do it right then. And plus we had just gotten a puppy, and we had the puppy in the car. The puppy wasn't house trained yet. And I was like, I don't want to take this extra time because we need to let the puppy pee.
Right,
and stuff.
yeah.
And so then I was saying, like, can't we do this after? And she was really insistent that it happened then. And then I mentioned it to Daniel, my fiance, thinking that, he also would be annoyed by this. And he's like, oh, no, we can totally do that. I was like, okay.
Which something's happening.
Yeah. I still
really?
was clueless. Yeah.
So smart to set up that next week.
Right. So we run the errand, which takes forever. Everyone told me it would not take forever. It took forever. And then he tells me that so at this point we're pretty close to the beach. And he tells me that his mom wants us to take a photo of ourselves by the water. And at this point I really, really had to pee. I was like, can't this happen later? Like, what's going on with all these moms?
Or you're happy to go closer to the water. Like, I'll
do it there.
Right. So long story short, but it involved me having this like saying to myself, just tell him that you need to pee. Tell him you don't want to do this now. Just stand up for yourself, Allison. Don't, I was kind of a bitch. And then he to take this photo, which I did not understand why we even had to be taking this photo. He wanted to go closer to the water, and I just dropped my purse. I'm like, I'm not going further.
Or this was like a murder plan.
Yeah.
Closer to one.
And so then he just starts, he's like, ever since I met you, and da-da-da. And then I realized, oh my gosh, this is it's happening.
Oh, I love that.
So it was very sweet. I did need to pee immediately after. But on one of our first dates, we went down near that area. So that's why he had come up with this whole plot to get me, down there. And my sister and her husband happened to be in town, and they were at my parents' house.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, it was nice. They had we had a little celebration. So
I love that.
I know.
It was very sweet.
I've heard you say certain things describing how indecisive you are, or
yes.
I think I heard you say something about picking out a color, the color of a folder is a hard decision.
Yes.
I'm the exact same way.
Really? Isn't it awful for us?
Yeah, because you said what's it going to say about me? And I do that about everything.
Right. What I've said is big decisions where I'm going to move, what job, who I want to marry, things like that. That is easy for me. It's the tiny decisions that it doesn't matter at all that I get they can completely paralyze me. And I think the example,
I've stood in the toothbrush aisle saying would a pink toothbrush make me feel too girly, but would it make me feel clean and fresh, or would the blue, but then that could probably get confused with other toothbrushes, and then it won't exactly say who I am. I mean, I'm the exact same way.
I do that. Yes. I mean, literally trying to choose a toothbrush took me probably months, because it took me 2 hours one day. I'm like, I can't even make this decision right now.
But choosing a man was easy for you.
Yeah, and that's what I was. But we were talking about deal breakers earlier of what is something. Did you date a lot before getting together with Daniel? Or
I did. I dated a lot. I made a lot of really bad decisions. I was always attracted to the wrong kind of guy.
Meaning what?
Meaning I was always attracted to the guy who my girlfriends would be like, that's someone you can have a crush on, but you should not try to be in a relationship with him.
Well, so what were those characteristics?
Like the bad boy kind of thing?
Just someone who didn't want to be in a relationship, someone who clearly had all sorts of problems, someone who had substance abuse issues, someone who was maybe in another relationship but saying they were going to get out of it, but someone who came on really strong at the beginning. And I think women who had a better sense of how this all worked would have realized there's not anything behind it. But I'd be like, I don't know, it just feels good, so I'm going to go with it.
What would feel good about? I want to understand this a little bit better. What would feel good about it with being with those guys? Was it exciting?
I think a guy who really respects you and is genuinely invested in trying to get to know you is going to approach you in a way that's different than a guy who just wants to be with you for a night. And when you're immature, which I was, the guy who just wants to be with you for a night, that feels like you're being swept off your feet.
Yeah.
And you don't have to take responsibility for anything. And it's just here's a hurricane of attention. But I think you're aware that his ego is not on the line in the same way it can be with the guy who genuinely likes you.
Right. And
for me, feeling responsible for someone else's feelings was always very overwhelming and daunting, and could make me be scared very easily. So when someone was paying attention to me, where I think they were just having fun, that was much easier for me to like them back.
That makes sense. So how old were you during that time period where that was attractive for you?
I mean, all through my 20s. And then I always had this sense that I I don't like the right kind of guys. And so then I tried to make myself go out with the guy that I should go out with. And then that didn't work a couple times. And then I was like, fuck it all.
It's like eating the food you should be eating.
Yes.
It's like, ugh.
And then it's like, but then if you step on a scale and you still gained weight,
right,
you're like, I give up.
Yeah.
So I was single for about 4 years. And
celibate or just single?
Well, she was with the wrong guy, so I'm sure she wasn't celibate.
Well, no, it sounds like for 4 years she was like, I'm done dating anybody.
Oh.
I'm going to find out what makes me happy, so on and so forth.
Just like that horrible movie with Julia Roberts, Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
She finally learns how she likes her eggs.
Right.
In the morning. For some reason, I hated that movie. Because she was such an irresponsible human being. Is what it is.
But that's very common for a lot of women. Like, I'll tell my engagement story when it did happen really quickly. Or the post-engagement story. I was with my husband for a very long time. And at a certain point, I got really fixated on wanting him to want to marry me that I forgot to go through the process of evaluating whether or not I wanted to marry him, which I knew I did. I'd been with him for 5 years. So I knew that that's where I was going. But I got really lost in I want him to just want me and to know that I am the person to be with him for the rest of his life. And so once we got engaged, that's when I started going through my process that he had been going through for the 5 years before, really evaluating, is this person going to be a good partner for me? And like, I find that men take a lot more time to think clearly about what getting married actually means. Mm-hmm. And it is a partnership. So you're selecting somebody to be a partner with you. And I don't think a lot of women do that, especially when they're younger. I'm 10 years younger than my husband. I was 23 when I met him and he was 33. So for me, that spiral happened for me after we got engaged, where I was looking at him and being like, do I want this for the rest of my life? And it ended up working out well because I did want him.
You're like,
eventually.
yeah, I'll be in America.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be an American. Exactly. It's perfect. But I find that like a lot of women who are younger don't really take the time to get to know themselves.
Right.
So, yeah, it does become challenging to select a partner for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I mean, what would always happen to me back when I was younger is the minute I liked someone and we began dating, I would just completely lose myself and become so obsessed with what's my standing in their eyes. And I was the person who was, driving people insane with like, and then he said this, and then this happened.
Me too.
This. What do you think it means? And I realized that with Daniel, that it was never confusing. And I asked him, were you ever confused by me? And he said no. And I want, like with your husband, was it confusing at the beginning?
That was the thing. It was always comfortable right away. Right. I felt like I'd known him for years and I was never playing any games with him whatsoever. Sometimes I wanted him to play more games, but like, no, it was never confusing.
I'm beginning to wonder if confusion is just a sign it's not the right person.
I think so. I think so because I've been with my boyfriend for 5 years and it was like the moment we just even spoke online, which is like on Facebook, it felt like
normal.
We had spoken for 10 years and every other guy that I had a crush on, it was like that just stuttering of trying to find something to say. But we like, I knew I was really, it was not confused because like I felt comfortable like wearing like no makeup in front of him, like 2 days into knowing him, so it's kind of like, oh, okay, this is I guess what you're supposed to look for.
Sure, he was excited about that.
I think
so was my like eyeliner like budget.
Confusion, I think, is really hot when you're younger.
Yeah,
and
I think
you
so
kind of
too.
like those hard to get games.
Yes.
But when you're older and you don't have the energy for it, and you just want something that feels right, then I think that's when you start finding those people that are perfect for you. Because I think timing wise is so important. That's what we don't talk about enough about is timing. It's like, you might not be ready for that
like
right
when
relationship because you're not in the right.
When Mo is dead, then like, it's the perfect time for everything.
I think when you really, really want it is not the right time.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're too fixated
eager
on it.
Yeah.
That's what happens with a lot of guys that I work with. They become really fixated on the goal rather than not fixated on the woman, but actually engaging and connecting with the woman. Like a lot of guys have approach anxiety that I work with. And what they do is they look at a woman that they want to approach and they think, okay, I'm going to approach her. I'm going to attract her. She's going to want me. I'm going to ask for her phone number. We're going to go on a date. We're going to have baby. Like all of these huge projections thrown onto this person, which usually psychs them out from ever doing it. So I tell them to drill back their intention. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally. Exactly. They don't even connect with the people. It's crazy. So for that.
Is it about validation for them?
It's not about validation for them. It's about like, you know, they see something they want and they don't know how to get outside of their head and like sort of drill down their intentions and understand how freaking awesome they are. They see this woman, they're like, oh, she's hot. So, okay, she's way above me. She has higher value. So I have to do it appropriately or I have to approach her correctly. They just want too many things out of that situation. It comes from insecurity.
How did you and your fiance meet?
He emailed me.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Oh, funny.
Both of you online.
Did he know you beforehand or no?
No, I was already on the Adam Carolla show, and he heard me on there. Yeah,
really?
He was actually. He heard me on the Adam Carolla show, and then, well, actually, I always forget about this part. He did sort of know who I was before the Adam Carolla show because he had seen me on this TV show that I used to appear on frequently, and I guess
you're so cool.
Oh, thank you. He at one point did follow me on Twitter, but then he stopped.
Passive aggressive.
Really?
Wow.
I think he was going.
Game.
I think this was before I even lived here. I don't know. Maybe he was, you know, curating who he followed or something. It was like, I don't even know who she is or whatever.
Cutting down my follow.
Right. So maybe he was negging me when he told me that.
He was.
Just kidding. God, I hope he doesn't know what that means.
I love that you know what that means.
So then, yeah, he emailed me. So he heard me on the show, and then he went to my website and he read a bunch of things that I had written, and one of them really moved him. And so he contacted me just to tell me how much he liked this article that I wrote, or so he says.
Right.
And there was just something about his emails that I felt like I just feel it's hard to put into words exactly what it is. It was like
you guys are on the same level.
Yeah, there's something about the way he used language that just made it reminded me of me.
Right.
So how could I not fall in love?
Of course. Exactly. Instantly.
Right. But I do get that. I don't know how to say this without sounding like la-di-da, look at me. I do get a fair amount of emails from people though, and a fan mail. And
hey, you're
like
popular.
That. Thank you. But I normally wouldn't want to. I wouldn't feel comfortable meeting someone who contacted me that way. So we emailed back and forth a little bit, but I went and I checked him out on Facebook just because I was like, who is it? Yeah, I'm curious about this person, right?
How did you jump to, okay, we're emailing, we're like pen pals, to we're going to go out on a date and get to know each other?
Well, so then he asked me out, but then before I even had a chance to respond, he took it back. He's like,
really?
Yeah.
No, I don't want that.
No, he said that he's like, sorry, sometimes I get ahead of myself, blah, blah, blah. But, something occurred to me. It's so obvious. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I just started this publishing company with a few friends, and we are looking for authors to write da-da-da, and I think you could be perfect for it. It's just something that would interest you. And it was, but it also created this situation where I felt like I can meet him and it's not going to under the pretense of a date. Yeah, it's something that's more work related and I feel more comfortable. And yeah, it was more just I don't feel comfortable going on a date with someone who just emailed me, but I'm okay with meeting them for a potential work thing.
Yeah.
So we met, and the minute I got back in the car to drive home, I wanted to text him just because I felt comfortable with him.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get to know him better. I had just moved pretty recently relocated from New York to here. I was living with my parents because I hadn't found a place yet, and all sorts of stuff was going on, and I was like, I cannot be in a relationship now.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you?
Oh, I was I'm 38 now, so I think I was 30. I must have been 35.
Okay. Because you were in a new place, 35. You don't want to get
Right. I just felt like my life was in too much turmoil. I wouldn't be good for anyone, and that's how I felt. But there was this magnetism there. I just felt drawn to him, and I didn't feel responsible for his emotions at all. Right. I felt like I knew that he had an interest in me, but there was no sense. I didn't feel like I would be leading him on if I continued to hang out with him as friends, even though I wasn't sure what I wanted. And I remember saying to my sister, either he's the most confident person in the world or he's really good, strategically, because I feel I don't feel like I'm leading him on like I perhaps would have with other people. So we continued hanging out as friends for a while. And then one night he told me that he had a crush on me, or that maybe he didn't use the word crush, but that he liked me. And I told him that I didn't think I should be in a relationship, but I don't really believe in the friend zone. So, I just think that if people are meant to be together, eventually they will be together. And I do believe that. I'm curious what you guys think about that, like whether there is a friend zone
It depends. Honestly, I think it depends on the age of the person and the way that the people are acting. If he's just completely focused on you and cutting himself off completely and you're really not interested, then that kind of screws both people. There's this elephant in the room that's not being spoken of, and it's not a real friendship. So I think from what you're describing, it sounds like you were taking your time to get to know him, and he was exploring other options as well, or still being open to others.
Well, so anyway, the way that after saying all that,
how did he get out of the friend zone?
Yeah.
Did he hook up with one of your friends?
Well, no.
Did
So
he
what happened is
dating
then
someone else?
at the end of the night when I hugged him, I just didn't let go, and he turned to kiss me on the cheek, and I turned to him, and then we kissed, and then we've been together ever since.
Really?
Wow.
So there was always that tension there. 'Cause there's a lot of guys who are friends with girls where there's nothing sexual there, but they just feel the sexuality and the tension. So it sounds like you guys have always sort of had that, but you were being honest and saying, I don't think I'm in the right place for it right now.
Right.
I think the friend zone kind of eliminates as you get older. If you're both really good friends and neither of you are finding, that other person, eventually I think that chemistry starts at that point.
Yeah.
And then that's when you...
Yeah. I call the friend zone, it's actually the fake boyfriend zone, if that's what really is happening. You're not really friends. If you're really friends, you're teasing each other, you're challenging each other, you're being yourself. And the guys who are in the friend zone, I'm putting air quotes up, but they're not really friends because they're pleasing the woman.
Yeah,
they're trying to show how wonderful
you're
a
just being
boyfriend they would be.
patient.
You're just being patient. Yeah. It's a patient zone. You're right. Absolutely.
You're giving a woman that one need that she needs from a life partner, which is
but not asking for anything else.
Yeah, and you're not getting any play. So
Sounds
it's a
great to me.
horrible zone.
You're that's what I'm in right now.
Basically,
perfect.
my boyfriend. Yeah.
Well, we have this segment that's called Analyze This, where guys write us in questions, and I know you're going to stick around for it, but I just want to make sure you still like us and want to hang out.
Of course, I would love to.
Okay, cool. So I am going to read the first question. I am married and have 2 beautiful kids, but I have a problematic mother-in-law who is always controlling my wife and causing problems in our relationship. Every time my wife and I get in an argument, she leaves to her mother's house and will not answer my calls. Her mother has taught her to use the silent treatment. One day I asked her mother why my wife does this, and her mother said it's because the silent treatment is a killer. I have spoken to one of her cousins, and he's
horrible.
He mentioned that my wife is eccentric, very emotional, and shares everything with her mother. My wife seems to care more about her family than the family we have together. I know she loves me, but how do I make her understand that she is following her sick mother's advice? Currently, we live in separate states. Oh, and this is the 6th time she has left the house.
So she's getting on a plane or just driving over a
Live
border?
in separate states.
Yeah.
Wow. Do
Mental
I leave this
states?
relationship? How do I deal with the situation? Okay, I'm not really understanding. We live in different states.
Than the mother, I think.
Oh, then the mother. Okay, so she literally crosses the border.
That's what I'm wondering.
Whoa, that's intense.
Or
is he
unless
saying
it's
they're
separated. Now
It
I'm
sounds like
wondering.
he's saying they live
I
in
think
separate
they,
states.
I think they're
but then-
separated. I think she's with the mother right now.
Okay, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the 6th time she's left the house. So these are big fights and big issues. My advice would be to go to couples counseling.
Yes.
Yeah, because her mother should not
Skype
be
it.
involved.
Just
Yeah.
Skype it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but look, here's the thing. With your family, depending on who you are and how you're grown up, some people just can never leave their family. And when you marry a woman, you marry their mother.
Yes.
And her mom, let me ask you something. If her mom is alone and by herself and is not married, that's what your wife's going to be. Unless she has some sort of traumatic, life-altering thing happen to her that makes her wake up, she's just going to fall in the same pattern.
That's where I think therapy and counseling comes into play. Because, you said it really well. I don't even know what your name is because I didn't have a name at the end of this. But you said my wife seems to care more about her family than the family we have together. And I feel like when you do create a new family, it's not that they're the top priority, but they have to be a huge priority. And you can't run away from your problems with your husband when you have an argument and not answer the phone. It is a killer. It's a killer of your relationship. It's a killer of sex drive. It's a killer of everything, of intimacy and communication.
This question is making me reflect on myself because I said this to my mom a long time ago. I think I was in college, and I said, I'm really afraid to ever get married or have kids because I don't think I'll love them as much as you guys. Because I'm obsessed with my family. We're all really close. As I've gotten older, it's changed a little bit. But I had an argument with my boyfriend last night, and all I wanted to do was run to my mom and run home. But she lives in upstate New York.
Well, this woman seems to do it.
And so it's like I obviously have to resist the urge because of financial reasons. But I embarrassingly feel somewhat like this woman.
No, I have that as well. And I remember, wondering how will I ever feel comfortable enough with someone who's not my family to want to be with them, because I had a very much I can be myself around my family, right. Whereas I always feel like I have to be a certain way around other people.
Right.
So yeah, I relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
I call my mom usually when I do have if it's a big argument, I'll call her, and she usually gives really good advice. But my husband is my family now. He's my top priority. We've been together for 10 years as well. And my family does live far away, so it's not the same anymore. But I think I feel the same way as you. How would I ever be as comfortable with anybody else compared to my family, who I feel so safe with? But over time, I've felt that way with my husband. My overall advice for this situation is to go seek couples counseling.
I agree.
And really
because
work on it.
You need that third party, to sort of hopefully get her to see what's going on, because if she feels like he's saying you have to choose, I don't know what she's going to do.
Right, because there's nothing wrong with going and taking a few days break and then coming back. I don't know how
and don't have the mother be that third party.
Well, but the thing is, she could be that third party. Go there, then come back, and then communicate. They'll figure it out in therapy. Okay, hi, ladies, and Mo. The girl in conversation...
He didn't actually say that. It's just ladies.
The girl in conversation below at the time didn't want to go out with me and wanted to be friends, so there's dialogue underneath. But I did like Marni always says, ask for what you want, but all I've got are mixed signals. We haven't talked in probably 2 to 3 months. That's not really a mixed signal. Since she moved to San Francisco, and out of the blue, she sends me this message. Hey, you, how is life in Riverside? Hope you're doing well. I replied with...
Oh, she wants you bad.
She's all over you. That is all sexual innuendo right there.
How is life in Riverside? I mean, take a guess. Horrible.
Yeah, exactly. So far, so good. It's still pretty hot down here, low 80s. Oh, God. Trying to piece together a bike that is a broken bolt. But other than that, everything is going smooth. How is the big city treating you? But she never replied. What's up with that, Steven?
Ooh, she sounds like she likes to be in control and get attention.
Well, no, look. First of all, I would not reply to what Steven said anyway. Oh, the weather's nice. Who says, oh, the weather's nice?
That's
then,
true.
Oh, I got this bike I'm working on. Boring, okay?
I kind of think that too. Oh, it was a broken bolt.
I think this woman maybe had a vulnerable moment where she just wanted to reach out to someone who she knew kind of liked her.
And this text back to her was like a slap in the face to get with it.
Yeah, it was this is why I stopped talking to this guy in the first place.
Now I remember.
That's kind of true. Yeah.
Exactly. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think she was just reaching out for exactly she had a moment of weakness, and she's like, okay, let's see who likes me. I do that.
In moments like that, when a woman does that to a guy, guys need to realize less is more. All right? They've already built up this fantasy image of what you might do to save their current situation. Say as least amount as possible and get to hanging out with them as quick as possible.
I think so,
because you're probably going to get late.
So what would be a good response? I think it's funny if you go, who is this? Or something. And then she writes, oh. Right.
Yeah, because
then you're I'm just joking with you.
He took you out of his phone because he doesn't give a shit. Yeah. And he's got other things going on in his life, and that's very attractive.
Yeah, or he could say, I don't even know. I haven't. My brain is dead today.
But I think Steven.
I was traumatized yesterday.
But I think Steven should know that he forget about her.
Yeah, this is like verbal diarrhea coming out of his mouth, or written diarrhea. Too much stuff. Okay, next question. Hi, girls. I have something I'm stuck on. There's a girl. Surprise, surprise. I've always had a crush on. She was in a relationship and broke up with her boyfriend 8 months ago. During that time, we weren't in touch that much, but we spoke now and again. At first, I didn't push things because I wanted to give her space, and as time went on, we hung out and spoke more frequently. I don't know, spoke is a weird word for me. I hadn't heard from her in a while, and she randomly contacts me last week asking to hang out. We spent Saturday night talking, catching up, and mostly laughing. She texted me the next day right away. Small talk mostly, saying she was sore from the gym. I replied saying I knew the feeling, asked her what she was up to, heard nothing back. Oh, very similar.
That's innuendo. That's good innuendo talk.
What? Oh,
sore.
Sore.
I don't know.
I'm a bit sore from pumping.
It's really cheesy.
I know. We're like trying. Mija, we can't do it. Heard nothing back. The next day we had a brief text exchange, but nothing solid. She has always been a flaky person, so maybe that's what it is. I like her and want to see her again and start pursuing her as someone more than a friend. How should I do this? I'm looking at Alison.
I feel exhausted reading this.
I know.
Yes.
Because this is everything that I was ever in before I met someone where it wasn't like that, and
Right.
now I'm with him.
Seems like it's either
But that's
only
good.
that or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So what do you do?
Well, but first, let's figure out what we can't figure out. What the fuck's up? Like, what happened in her day that she didn't write back? He's not
a top priority. That's what happened in
Yes.
the day. If she was exactly what you said, like with your fiance, you felt comfortable. You wanted to text him. You wanted those things. Like, she's not writing back. There's other things going on in her life that are more of a priority than you. There are games that we do play of holding out, but eventually you write back. But if 2 days go by and she hasn't written back to you, like, you're not a top priority. She's not thinking about you.
And then also, let's think about this, right? Because this has happened to me before, because these women suck. But, like, you know, I'll be dating, I'll know a woman that I like. She contacts me out of the blue. We go out, we have this amazing time. And, you know, then I don't hear much back from her. And I'm trying to get a second date. It's not happening. And it's because she's been with someone this entire time. And really, she had a problem with that other person, needed a boost, hits me up. We have this great moment. She realizes, oh, maybe there is hope with this new guy. Douchebag comes back and says, okay, baby, I'll take you back. And all of a sudden, I'm out of the picture, and I have no reason why.
Right. Well, that is one thing that does happen. But for you, you said this is every situation you ever had before. So what could a guy do?
I just mean the confusing sort of what
mixed
does it
signals.
mean?
What's going on?
Right.
Well, what
my
can
hunch.
he do?
Just forget about her.
Honestly, it doesn't sound like he's really stepping up. He sounds like he's sort of following this woman around, sort of like he's not being a leader with her.
Yeah, I mean, it also is like Alison was saying, like, it's comfortable or easy or not confusing if it's right. So I think, but to an extent, I know there's other situations.
But I know that there's, like, for me, I used to have a lot of anxiety, so nothing was ever right. Even if I was hanging out with my best friend, it wasn't right. I was still analyzing it. There was still a distance between us. And I had to do that work on myself so that I became comfortable. So I get that, yes, when you meet that one person, but I do think that there's ways to work on certain situations so that you do get to that comfort level with other people, depending on how old you are and how well you know yourself. The one thing I'm noticing with this guy, as I said before, is that he's not really taking the lead. He's following her.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's what I was just thinking right now. I was thinking that if the roles were reversed, if this were the woman writing, I would say do nothing. And if he's interested, he'll come around.
Right.
But since he is the guy who I think should be the one to
push it
pursue
forward.
her, that makes me wonder, what is his move? Should he just ask her out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I
say,
think,
like,
look,
let's go out again. You're freaking awesome.
you ask her out. If she says no, you know, maybe ask her out one more time, but then that's it.
Then cut it off.
You allow her an opportunity to reschedule. If this woman wants to see you, she's going to want to see you. Like, these are things that take away from your man sexy.
But also, if you want to see him, you text him back. You know,
Yeah.
Exactly. You respond. You respond back. But sometimes if guys aren't giving you a reason to text back, if you sort of just like follow every single time, then it's like, oh, it's not really exciting when you write to me. I'm just going to my phone now because that's where my other questions are. Hey, my favorite ladies. I recently became attracted to this super cute girl at the train station the last couple of weeks. I decided to finally converse with her last Friday before our train arrived. The conversation went well as she was friendly and we had a nice quick conversation before the train arrived. On Monday, I see her again and she doesn't even make eye contact with me. There was an open seat next to me and she sits directly behind me instead. Was she just being friendly on Friday or is she just not interested? Now I'm quite confused as she went to the train without saying anything. I didn't want to chase her down and start talking since that would be creepy, desperate. I just played it cool but was not sure if I should banter again and this time ask her out or just let it go altogether. You women can be so frustrating. Thanks for any advice and you guys are always funny and informative. Best, Sean.
Well, it depends on how long a train ride it is. Because if it's like an hour-long train ride, I'm sitting behind him. But if it's like a short little thing where you can, like, you know, just talk about the weather or whatever.
She did proximity. I see that as she didn't sit at the other end
right. She might
of the
be
train.
waiting for him to push this forward.
Yeah, he's doing the same thing. You haven't initiated anything either. You talked once, and then you see each other again, and you give her like the stink eye. Well, and then she sat behind you.
Yeah, because if she doesn't say anything to him, he also doesn't say anything to her. So she could be perceiving it the exact same way that he is.
One thing to always make note of is proximity is a huge thing for women. Women are not aggressors. So if they are near you, if they are talking loudly around you so that you can hear what they're saying, they are trying to get your attention. That is a huge flirting sign. So next time you see her, definitely talk to her. She's waiting for you to initiate.
Sit next to you. Hey, what's going on? Nice to see you again, Susie. Yeah, come up, see. Let's talk. But look,
love her name, Susie.
He could make this as awkward as he wants, right? If he makes this awkward, you killed it. But if you kind of just brush it off, next time you see her, hey, what's up? Talk to her again. But I wouldn't. If this is something where you see the woman a lot, don't even push it. Like, don't even ask her out until 5-6 times down the road. If you see her a lot, plant the seed,
I was listening to Alison's podcast, the most recent one, where you're in, I think it was the most recent one. You guys talked about moving train cars.
Oh,
if you saw someone creepy or something.
Yeah, someone wanted to know if Jenna, who also used to live in New York, the two of us, when we saw someone sketchy on the train, if we would instantly move train cars.
Right. So I think an indicator is, you're right, spacing. She was right behind him. She didn't choose a different car, which you can totally do.
Yeah, which is very easy to do. So wait, but you think space it out 5 or 6 times?
Look, if I see this woman often, right?
Yeah.
Let me get to know her. Let me be the bright spot of her day. Let me
but
be
if
that
he knows already,
take off your hat and show your bald spot.
No, that's not it.
Wait, Allison, what do you think? Do you think you waited out?
Do. Well, I see what Mo was saying. You're saying that he's got this built-in way to get to know her and see if there is something between them. So no need to be super forward about it.
Yeah.
And push for a date.
Just get to know her this way. I agree with that.
Until he decides that he wants to ask her out, but it sounds like he does already.
Because then she'll have the question of, does he have a girlfriend? Does he not? Why hasn't he asked me out yet? Sorry, my phone. But, he'll create kind of this mystery outside of it. She'll start asking her friends, I've been hanging out. I see this guy at the train station every day. And she's building the fantasy up so then when he does finally ask, there's going to be a real romantic connection.
I hear that. I just get worried that she's not going to be on the train. She's going to miss his opportunity. And then he has to go on Craigslist to find her or something.
Well,
that's true.
Listen, if it's meant to be, like Allison said,
then it's going to happen.
It's meant to be.
I guess so.
Just maybe some of the first questions you should be asking her are ones to deduce whether he'll keep running into her. Like,
oh, yeah, exactly.
Do you always take this train?
Yeah. Right. And are you planning to for the next 6 weeks? Because I've got a plan.
Yeah.
So that wraps up this segment of Analyze This for this week. Allison, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
You were so great. I love hearing your stories about being engaged.
Thank you.
You're really open and honest, so I appreciate it. But if you want to ask questions, send your questions into ask@askwomenpodcast.com. Make sure you have interesting subject lines because that is usually what catches our attention and gets us to want to read your questions.
Like it just saying, Kristen is awesome.
Yes, exactly.
I'll read that one.
Just put that. There's 30 of them in there that just say that.
That you haven't read.
Yeah, then I'm like, fuck, I'm not reading that. I hate these people. They suck. But Allison, tell people about where they can hear you, see you.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Alison Rosen. It's just one L in Allison.
And you may marry her if you start following her.
That's right. That's right. You have to start and then stop and then start again.
It's a turn on.
Don't stop. And I am on the Adam Carolla show all the time. You can get that on iTunes.
Awesome.
Or you can go to AlisonRosen.com and also make sure to listen to Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. It comes out Monday and Thursday.
And they find that on iTunes?
Yes, iTunes, or if you go to AlisonRosen.com, you can find it.
Perfect. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys, for listening. Happy Turkey Day. What else we got for them?
More mashed potatoes?
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, I'm going to be stuffing my face.
But everyone's probably this entire episode sleeping from all the tryptophan.
I know. Well, they're getting it before Thanksgiving, so we're giving them a special treat, a little early surprise for Thanksgiving. But check out, typically our podcasts come out every Thursday, and tune in next week. And we'll see you soon.
Bye.